I'm Mike AD, and welcome to the Delta League Podcast. This week, Week 10, we are 1 week away from the All-Star Game and the mid-season trade deadline, which promises chaos. Now, let's move on to Monday night, where we've got Vancouver hosting Toronto and New York. And in this one, New York wins it. New York 30, Toronto 26, Vancouver 23. Vancouver coach Rory Hannon was pissed in this game, so much that he let LeBron Murphy know just how upset he was. Well, LeBron, not that LeBron, this LeBron took exception and tossed him from the game. That is going to cost Rory some money. In the process, assistant coach Zeke Assman got to play coach for the third period. So, for Vancouver, it was Romeo DeRosa with 6 blocks. For Toronto, it was Travis Valencia, Devin Hannibal, and Gabriella Davignon with 7 goals each. Now, for New York, it was Luke Brownlee with 5 goals and Mohamed Carnasale with 7 goals. And Rock Weinstein with 9 goals. And in the end of this one, New York picks up the 4 points. Toronto, 2 points. Vancouver, nothing. Now, we move on to Wednesday night, where Chicago is hosting Denver in Miami. And this one, Chicago wins it. Chicago 43, Miami 28. Denver, what happened? 16. On the way to the stadium, the Miami team bus was in an accident, during which Corbin Hargabend and Silas Coffey were hurt. Both did not play. Now, Chicago player Paul Marullo made it publicly known that he hates his team's stance on beards. The club demands all players be clean-shaven. It's just a team policy. The club prefers all players don't look like homeless rock stars. Marullo stated that, "I'm actually kind of proud of the beard I can grow. I was rocking a pretty good one before the season and they told me I had to shave it off. He should be careful. He may be growing a rat-infested beard in Atlanta any day now." Now, for the Pride, it was Venus Pilar with 13 goals and Ivan Goss with 10 goals. For Denver, it was Jude Tesla and Larry McMaster with 5 goals each, and Tully Sykes with 5 blocks. And for Miami, it was Mendoza Middleton with 7 goals. And in the end of this one, Chicago picks up the 4 points. Miami, 2 points. Denver, nothing. Now, let's move on to Saturday's matinee game, where Seattle is hosting Phoenix and Montreal. It's happened again. Montreal knocks off Seattle. Montreal wins it. Montreal 40, Seattle 30, Phoenix 29. Holy shit. Now, Montreal was late getting to this game because they were delayed leaving Montreal due to bad weather. As a result, they did not hold a practice before today's game, but they didn't appear to need it as they won anyways. Now, Vlad Millet got yellow carded in this match. This had to be an accident because there's no way he does anything on purpose. He's such a gentleman. Now, a Phoenix area marching band made their way to Seattle, and they were definitely a distraction, playing some unsavory songs and disrupting play until they were finally ejected after a man was hit in the back of the head by a trombone slide, causing a brawl in the stands. The band was ejected, and several other fans were also ejected from the stadium. Some people don't know how to have fun. Now, after the game, injured Phoenix player Carlo Flamia said, "Our team needs to make some trades." For once, I agree. Finally, a player that actually contributes has some good ideas. Trade your teammates. Now, in a feel-good story, J.J. Syverson, who broke his neck a few weeks back, was there in Seattle signing merchandise and even gave his shoes to a young fan. The Maelstrom need to keep guys like this around. Now, for Seattle was Laurie Moss with 20 blocks. 20. Chip Chiozzi with 9 goals. And for Phoenix, it was Jackson Truman and Arnold Morel with 6 goals each. And for Montreal, it was the Messiah, Stefan Grice, 14 goals, and Gus Partenza with 12 goals. In the end of this one, Montreal gets the 4 points. Seattle, 2 points. Phoenix, nothing. Now, let's move on to Philadelphia, where the Shred are hosting Detroit and Salt Lake City. And in this one, Detroit wins it. Detroit 25, Philadelphia 16, Salt Lake City 9. Now, SLC player Don Kenworthy was in a horrific car crash on Friday night. There are broken bones, internal injuries, but he will recover. He will lose this season, but he will play again. We are all praying for Don and his family. Now, in this game, Rock player Stanislav Muto strained his pec. No word on how severe the injury is. Now, the injury bug seems to come in bunches as Philadelphia players Ariel Vignola suffered broken ribs. He'll be gone for 3 weeks, which means he'll most likely miss the All-Star game. And assistant captain Trent Penzavelli broke his collarbone. He's out for 5 weeks. Just bad timing for Philly. They need to hold on to that playoff spot for dear life because teams like Montreal are breathing down their necks now. Now, Philadelphia player Suzuki Sato was yellow carded in this match due to random stupidity, so nothing new there. And in the second period intermission, it was delayed because a trained eagle was to be used during the intermission escaped and refused to come down. It kept flying away and evading its owner. They will try to do a sequel on this the next time the Shred play a home game, which is a month from now. So, for Philadelphia, it was Harlequin Butcher with 10 blocks. Then it was for Detroit, Isaac Parker Johnson. That guy keeps coming up. 8 goals. And for Salt Lake City, it was Eli Ercolani with 6 blocks. And in the end of this one, Detroit picks up the 4 points. Philadelphia, 2 points. Salt Lake City again gets nothing. Now, let's move on to Memphis, where the Pharaohs are hosting Boston and Atlanta. And in this one, Memphis wins it in a close one. Memphis 21, Atlanta 20, Boston 18. 3-point spread. There was a celebrity sighting in this game as hundreds of Elvis impersonators churned up a hunk of burning love. It's not even a full moon and we have chaos in Delta League. We also had a sighting of a female streaker who tried to dry hump Boston captain Mike Brenton. Jesus. Now, for Memphis, it was Khalil Claudel with 5 blocks. and Shep Forsberg with 5 goals. For Boston, it was David Toro with 7 goals. And Atlanta, nobody mustered jack shit. So, in the end of this one, Memphis picks up the 4 points. Atlanta, 2 points. Boston, nothing. Now, let's move on to LA, where the Fallen Angels are hosting Dallas and Washington. And in this one, Washington wins. Washington 25, Los Angeles 19, Dallas 15. Now, crazy stuff here. Precipitated by retired Dallas player York Raskin, who broke his neck a few weeks back. He was in the crowd taking on this game when a total melee starts that results in the entire LA bench, what's left of it, getting onto the court. Raskin tosses his Diet Pepsi onto the court, striking the LA team, who goes ballistic. He tries to go after Raskin. I mean, granted, he's disabled, but that doesn't give man a free rein. Now, somehow Dallas avoided any penalties here, but LA received a bench minor, meaning everybody got yellow carded. Funny, actually, because Bobby Sheffitz wasn't even in this game. He was fucking suspended. Now, otherwise, he could have got another yellow card. And as far as Raskin goes, he gets ejected, and he's going to get an expensive bill in the mail. Now, for Los Angeles, leading the way for Los Angeles, it's Jerome Jalbert with 5 goals and Clark Crepeau with 6 blocks. Game of a lifetime, that guy. Now, for Dallas, it's Nathaniel Mansfield with 6 goals and Corey Vignali and Bernie Tully both with 9 blocks. But they get absolutely nothing. And Washington, it was River Melcher with 5 goals and Octavian Womack with 9 blocks. And in the end of this one, Washington picks up the 4 points. Los Angeles, 2 points. Dallas, nothing. Now, let's take a look at the standings. Up at the top, Seattle, 36 points. Chicago and Detroit, 34 points each. Washington, 31 points. Denver, 26 points. Toronto, 25 points. New York and Philadelphia, 22 points each. And Memphis, 21 points. We draw the playoff line there. Now, next, Montreal. Remember when they were on the bottom? Montreal, 19 points. Miami, 18 points. Phoenix, 15 points. Vancouver, 14 points. Los Angeles, 13 points. Boston, 11 points. Atlanta, 8 points. Dallas, 8 points. Salt Lake City, 5 points. Now, here are the goal leaders. Starting with Rob Donoff, Seattle, 82 goals. Laurie Moss, 68 goals. Stefan Greiss, 62 goals. Star Palmer, Chicago, 59 goals. James Korn, Seattle, and Venus Pilar, Chicago, and Rock Weinstein, New York, 57 goals each. Now we have Isaac Parker Johnson, Detroit, 55 goals. Travis Valencia, Toronto, 50 goals. Vlad Millet, Seattle, 48 goals. Finn Wehrle, Chicago, 48 goals. And Larry McMaster, Denver. Gus Partenza, Montreal, 47 goals each. Our offensive player of the week, Stefan Greiss, Montreal, with 14 goals this week. Now, let's move on to the block leaders. Up at the top, new leader, Vlad Millet, Seattle, 58 blocks. Cyrus Holleran, Philadelphia, 57 blocks. Allen out of Memphis, 46 blocks. Kofi Dominguez, Vancouver, 45 blocks. Emmett Ruin, Seattle, 44 blocks. Romeo De Rosa, Vancouver, 43 blocks. Typo, holy shit. Laurie Moss, Seattle, 38 blocks. Jinbo Grover, Washington, 37 blocks. Jamie Ekstrom, Atlanta, 36 blocks. Reggie Joe Agdev, SLC, 35 blocks. Rob Donoff, Seattle, and Mike Brenton, Boston, 34 blocks each. Our defensive player of the week is Laurie Moss from Seattle with 20 blocks this week. Now, let's move on to the leaders in GXB rating. We got Rob Donoff, Seattle, 2788. Vlad Millet, Seattle, 2784. Laurie Moss, Seattle, 2584. James Korn, Seattle, 1767. Star Palmer, 1475. Venus Pilar, Chicago, 1425. Chip Chiozzi, Seattle, 1350. Isaac Parker Johnson, Detroit, 1320. Mohammed Carnasale, New York, 1260. Larry McMaster, Denver, 1175. We have Gus Partenza, Montreal, 1128. And Rhino Montalban, New York, 1120. Now, let's move on to the league news. Now, word on the car crash that severely injured SLC player Don Kenworthy is that it broke his left leg, his left arm, suffered a ruptured spleen and a collapsed lung, but he will make a full recovery. He's lucky because the occupants of the other vehicles were not so lucky. 2 of the 3 have died. Now, word is police are investigating this accident to see if charges of any kind will be laid. Just a catastrophic injury for the Swarm, who just sunk to a new low this week. Now, Miami player Silas Coffey and Corbin Hargabind, they were injured this week when their team got into a severe accident. Lucky for both of them, they were wearing their seatbelts when the bus tipped over. But they did suffer bruises and facial lacerations, which prompted the team to cut them from this week's game. The prognosis is these gentlemen will be back in a few weeks when the regular season resumes. That could have been far, far worse. Now, word is Toronto Towers coach Rosario Diaz has been fired. Now, very puzzling indeed, since Toronto has been playing much better lately. But this may be an indicator of bigger changes on the horizon, because we all know that Travis Valencia is all but gone, and we know Ravi Cutter is probably gone as well. Maybe they're thinking of making bigger changes than that down the line, and Mr. Diaz wasn't part of those plans. Now, also from Trafficland, Toronto player North Malikian has received a social advocacy award for his personal and financial support of a local soup kitchen that feed the city's homeless. If only more players weren't assholes. Now, Detroit player Stanislav Muto, who strained his pec, word is there's no tear, so he will miss 0 time. Let's move on to the mailbag. Matty V. Now, once this year's over, what happens to all the Delta League contracts going into the 3rd season? Does everybody become a free agent? What are the rules going into the off-season? Now, this whole process is complicated by the fact that we have an expansion draft this year, we have an entry draft, and a trade deadline. So this is going to be a maelstrom of chaos. Firstly, the teams will have a certain number of players to be unprotected. Of the 54 players left unprotected, 36 will become the property of the teams that draft them. The remaining 18 will revert back to the original teams. Now, the teams have the first pick as to whose contract they want to extend. If they choose to extend a contract, they can do so for an additional 2 years. For the players who are not offered a contract, they become free agents and can sign with any team they wish. But no contract may exceed 4 years. If a player decides not to take a team's offer, they may choose salary arbitration. If they lose salary arbitration, they may accept a contract at a lower rate or choose to become a free agent. In all cases, the decision of the arbiter is final. Now, rookies make a base salary and their contracts are 3 years, after which the team has the option to extend that contract by an additional year or offer them an additional 3-year contract at a higher rate. If that rookie does not extend after 3 years, they may become a free agent also. At any time in the offseason, the player may be demoted to the minors because all Delta League contracts are 2-way contracts. Now, I don't seem to have a letter here from the real Piero Barone. Last week he bet his Porsche Carrera on a 6-game superfecta. Suffice it to say, things did not go his way. He's probably at least a bottle deep in wild turkey, drowning his sorrows. That's rough. Now, 24/7 Jello shots. With all these players set to change teams next week, I'm thinking of grabbing some replica jerseys before they all sell out. Which ones do you think will be worth some money? I think that Valencia jersey in Toronto is always going to have value. If you can find a light blue on dark blue jersey, but not the Towers one, the original Titans one, before they were forced to change their name, that's going to be a collector's item. Anastos in Seattle, he was a fan favorite, and he's a hell of a player. The issue with Anastos' jersey is the same as with the Stein jersey in Montreal or the Eduardo Steven jersey in Boston. There's been sufficient time since everybody knew that they weren't coming back, which means you may have missed the boat on those collector's items from deposed players. Now, if you can find the captain jersey for Vlad Millet, that one may be worth something in time. What I can tell you is that what may be more valuable is buying a few rookie jerseys. Because if their first season is any indication, they'll have a storied career, and that first jersey may have some intrinsic value. I'm talking about Venus Pilar, James Corn, Jude Tesla, Gus Partenza. Those are real, safe investments. Now, let's move on to the Shop Zone. Get these jerseys before the players change teams. We've got the Travis Valencia jersey, the Curly Barnabani jersey, the Tommy Anastos jersey, the Frank Viano jersey, and the Giorgio Stokidis jersey. Get them while supplies last. Now, next week is the All-Star Weekend and the trade deadline. Here are the teams for the 2025 All-Star Game. Now, for the West, the captain, Laurie Moss from Seattle. Assistant captain, London Chatbert from Phoenix. Then Vlad Millet, the assistant captain from Seattle. Now, also on the team, Alexa Saragosa, Denver, Romeo De Rosa, Vancouver, Curly Barnabani, Phoenix, Jerome Jalbert, LA, Reggie Joe Agdev, SLC, Larry McMaster, Denver, Rob Donoff, Seattle, Keith Ogilvie, Los Angeles, and Jude Tesla, Denver. The coach will be Butch Davis from Seattle. Now, let's move on to the Central. Captaining this team is Travis Valencia, Toronto. Assistant captain Khalil Claudel, Memphis. And assistant captain Nathaniel Mansfield from Dallas. Also on the team, Star Palmer, Chicago. Alan Adam, Memphis. Finn Warley, Chicago. Valdemar Odette, Toronto. Isaac Parker Johnson, Detroit. Shep Forsberg, Memphis, Stefan Greiss. From Montreal, Gus Partenza from Montreal, and Venus Pilar from Chicago. Coaching this team, Zoltan Katz from Chicago. Now, here's the team for the East. Captaining this team will be Marquette Weaver from Miami, Mohamed Carnesale, assistant captain from New York, assistant captain Elix Henderson from Washington. Also on the team, Rhino Montalban, New York, Jermaine Jardetsky, Philadelphia, Jimbo Grover, Washington, Rock Weinstein, New York, Cyrus Holleran, Philadelphia, Angel Malloy, Washington, Jamie Ekstrom, Atlanta, Harlequin Butcher, Philadelphia, and Hobo Mickelson from Boston. Coaching this team will be Elias Holmberg from Washington. Join us next week when I go over all the results from the All-Star Game and all the trades and chaos from the mid-season trade deadline. Join us next week, where the action undoubtedly never stops. See ya.
This is Delta 2.